What I'm about to tell you will honestly shock you, and you need to stay until the end because the last part will completely change how you see what's going on right now. Here's the truth: only a handful of states in America are stepping up to help their people as the federal government shutdown drags on. We're talking about millions of families and seniors depending on SNAP food stamps who may not see their benefits this month, but 7 states decided not to wait on Washington. They're using their own funds to keep food on people's tables. And I'll walk you through which states they are, how much they're giving, and what this means for the rest of the country. If you've been relying on SNAP or know someone who does, this is the update you absolutely need to hear. And while you're here, drop a quick comment. Tell me your age and the state you're in. I really want to see which communities are planning smarter and staying informed through all of this. So here's what's happening. The federal government shutdown has now stretched for weeks. Congress hasn't reached a deal to fund basic programs, and that includes the Department of Agriculture, the agency that runs SNAP. Normally, the USDA funds every state to issue monthly food stamp benefits, but right now, they've officially told states not to proceed with November payments because there's no active budget authority. That means if a state pays out SNAP benefits now, it won't be reimbursed later. In plain English, Washington has frozen the pipeline. And here's the crazy part: they actually could keep the program running. The USDA has a $5 billion contingency fund that's meant for exactly this kind of emergency. It's like a rainy day fund for situations when Congress can't get its act together. But for reasons that are still unclear, some say political, some say strategic, the USDA has confirmed they won't touch that fund to cover November SNAP benefits. Now think about the scale of this. Nationwide, there are roughly 42 million Americans depending on SNAP. Over 60% of those households include children. More than a third include older adults or people with disabilities. And nearly 40% are working families, people trying to make ends meet while the economy keeps tightening. This isn't just a low-income issue anymore, it's a middle America issue. So what happens when the federal checks stop coming? A few states, just 7 so far, decided they can't wait. They've found ways to use their own state funds to keep SNAP support alive, or at least direct emergency money toward food banks that serve those in need. These states are taking action right now: California, Colorado, New Mexico, Minnesota, Louisiana, Virginia, New York, and New Hampshire. Each one is handling it a bit differently, but they all share one message: we're not leaving our people hungry while DC fights. In the next part, I'll break down exactly what each of these states is doing, how much money they're allocating, who qualifies, and what kind of help you can expect if you live there. And trust me, the numbers will surprise you. All right, let's go state by state because what some governors are doing right now honestly deserves attention. And the differences between them show just how uneven the safety net really is in America. Let's start with California, the largest SNAP population in the country, over 5.3 million people. Governor Gavin Newsom announced that California is fast-tracking $80 million in emergency state funds to support food banks across the state. The National Guard has even been deployed to help distribute supplies in high-need areas. That means even though federal EBT cards aren't being reloaded, food banks will have additional inventory to support families and seniors during this crisis. It's not a perfect replacement, but it's a strong statement. California is not waiting for Congress. Next, Colorado. Governor Jared Polis pushed through a request for $10 million from the state's general fund, also going directly to food distribution programs. Colorado has about 584,000 SNAP recipients, and local agencies are working with Feeding Colorado and other nonprofits to keep deliveries going. These are real dollars already moving, but not promises. Then there's New Mexico, where Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham has allocated $8 million in state money to food banks. With roughly 450,000 people relying on SNAP there, that money is critical. The New Mexico Human Services Department is also coordinating with local tribal programs to make sure Native communities, which are often hit first in crises like this, continue to receive support. In Minnesota, Governor Tim Walsh approved $4 million in emergency aid for food shelves and hunger relief organizations. Around 450,000 Motans depend on SNAP, and the state is redirecting extra funds from its emergency assistance budget to keep food flowing through November. Local volunteers have stepped up too, and that community response has been nothing short of inspiring. Now, Louisiana, this one's a little more complicated. The governor has officially declared a state of emergency, allowing limited SNAP payments to go out between October 24th and November 4th. They've done this by temporarily using reserve state funds. Louisiana has close to 850,000 people relying on these benefits. And while it's not yet clear if payments will continue past that date, the declaration at least provides a short-term bridge for families. Virginia has also declared a state of emergency. Governor Glenn Inan confirmed that Virginia will continue paying SNAP benefits during the shutdown using state funds until federal operations resume. Nearly 827,000 Virginians depend on those benefits. He's made it clear, we will not let bureaucracy stand between our citizens and their basic needs. Politics aside, that move brought huge relief to seniors who were already panicking about missing their EBT reloads this week. New York has gone big, committing $30 million from state reserves to fund over 16 million meals across local food banks and community kitchens. With 2.9 million people on SNAP, New York's action is one of the most aggressive responses we've seen. The state's Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance confirmed that food banks are now expanding hours and capacity to meet what's expected to be record demand. And finally, New Hampshire, a smaller state, but one that deserves recognition. With around 77,000 SNAP recipients, the state government partnered with the New Hampshire Food Bank to create a mobile pantry program specifically for SNAP participants. These pop-up sites are already being scheduled across rural towns where grocery access is limited. Seniors there will be able to pick up boxes of shelf-stable items directly through this program. No EBT card needed. So that's the map right now. 8 states holding the line while everyone else waits for Congress to act. The question is, what about the remaining 42? What happens if the shutdown drags into December? In the next part, we're going to talk about exactly that. What you can do if your state isn't on this list, what resources are already mobilizing quietly behind the scenes, and how to prepare so you don't get blindsided if this situation continues. And if you're still watching, I appreciate you. You're one of the few people actually staying informed, and trust me, what's coming next might shock you even more. Now, if you didn't hear your state on that list, I know how that sounds. It feels unfair, and honestly it is. But don't panic. There are steps you can take right now to keep food on the table while this political mess plays out. What I'm about to share isn't theory. It's what's actually working on the ground for people in states without active SNAP funding. And stay with me until the end because there's one move you can make today that could save you hundreds in grocery money before the shutdown ends. Here's the first thing you need to know. Local food banks have already been briefed on the situation. They knew this shutdown was coming and have been ramping up supplies since early October. Even if your state isn't sending out SNAP funds, your local food bank likely has extra support from Feeding America or state-level relief grants. Don't wait until your fridge is empty. Reach out now. Call, visit, or go online to your nearest food pantry. Many have emergency day programs where seniors can get pre-packed grocery boxes without an appointment. If you're in a small town, churches and community centers are another first line of defense. It might feel awkward to ask for help, but right now they're expecting that call. Most church networks partner directly with regional food distributors, and they often get first shipments when food banks are overloaded. Even better, many offer home delivery for older adults who can't travel. Another thing that's quietly happening, nonprofits and charities are stepping up with state-coordinated vouchers. In several Midwestern and Southern states, local relief agencies have received temporary funding to issue grocery store vouchers or prepaid cards for seniors who normally receive SNAP. They're not heavily advertised, so the only way to access them is to call your county assistance office or area agency on aging. These offices have hotlines specifically for SNAP-related emergencies during shutdowns. Also, if you're receiving SSI, SSDI, or Social Security, your benefits are still being paid on schedule. Those funds are not impacted by the current shutdown. But here's the catch: if you rely on both Social Security and SNAP, your household income might temporarily shift. That could affect other aid programs like utility assistance or Medicaid copays. It's a good idea to keep your documentation current, especially if you have to reapply for any emergency assistance this month. Now, let's talk about one group that's at the biggest risk: seniors on fixed incomes living in rural counties. These areas often have just one grocery store and limited access to food banks. If that's you, please don't wait. Contact your county, extension office, or your local council on aging. Many of them are distributing emergency commodity boxes right now. That's free USDA surplus food being handed out to qualifying seniors. No SNAP card required. It's not glamorous, but it's real food and it's yours to claim. And here's something most people don't realize. In some states, even when SNAP benefits are paused, EBT balances already on your card remain valid. If you had funds carried over from last month, they won't disappear. You can still use them. Just be mindful that retailers are seeing higher demand, and some smaller stores might run out of qualifying items faster than usual. Look, the bottom line is this: you're not powerless. This is exactly the kind of moment where being informed makes the difference between panic and preparation. The states that acted early proved that help doesn't have to wait for politics. But for everyone else, there's still a safety net. It's just decentralized, and you have to know where to look. In the final part, I'm going to tell you what's next, how long experts believe this shutdown will last, what it could mean for December payments, and the single smartest move you can make before the next round of budget talks hits. Stick with me. The ending might genuinely surprise you. So, here's where things stand, and you'll want to hear this part carefully because what happens next could affect every single senior depending on SNAP or Medicare benefits. As of this week, budget negotiations in Washington are still stalled. Lawmakers are blaming each other, while real families are left wondering if they'll be able to buy groceries in November or even December. Analysts now say the shutdown could last into mid-November, maybe even longer if no compromise is reached. That means there's a real chance December benefits could be delayed unless something changes fast. Now, I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you because preparation always beats panic. The states that already stepped up, like California and Virginia, have shown it's possible to protect citizens even when Washington fails. But most states can't afford to do that for long. Their emergency budgets are thin, and governors are under pressure to save funds for winter heating programs and public safety. If the federal government doesn't reopen soon, the strain will spread quickly. Food banks can't sustain demand indefinitely. Here's the reality: we've been through this before, but not quite like this. In previous shutdowns, the USDA usually stepped in with temporary funding to cover at least 1 month of SNAP. This time, they're refusing to touch the $5 billion contingency fund, a fund literally created for moments like this. That's what has experts worried. It's not just about SNAP. If the shutdown continues, it could slow down updates to Medicare claims processing and delay reimbursements to pharmacies serving older adults. It's a chain reaction. So, what can you do right now? Number 1, track your state's official SNAP updates daily. Most states post them on their Department of Human Services website. Bookmark that page. If you see a pending status for November or December, that's your signal to reach out locally and secure backup food assistance. Number 2, plan 2 weeks ahead. Even if it means buying smaller quantities, stock up now on affordable staples, rice, oats, canned proteins while shelves are still steady. And number 3, talk to your neighbors. Seriously, the strongest protection we have in times like this is community. In every town, there are folks who check in on each other, share what they have, and help get through rough patches together. If you're that person who looks out for others, thank you. You're the backbone of what's still good in this country. Here's something else to think about. Every crisis like this leaves a lesson behind. This one is showing us just how fragile our benefit system really is. Too much depends on politics, not people. And that's why staying informed, knowing your options, and being proactive is the only way to stay one step ahead. I don't want you waking up one morning finding your card empty with no idea what's going on. You deserve better than that. If you've watched this far, I want to say thank you. You're part of the few who actually take the time to understand what's happening instead of just hoping it'll all work out. And if you found this video helpful, stay with me. I post updates whenever there's movement in Congress or new state action that affects seniors, Social Security, or food benefits. So if you haven't yet, hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell. That way, when something changes, and it will, you'll hear it from someone who's tracking it for you, not from rumors online. Because the truth is, this story isn't over yet, and what happens in the next 2 weeks could make all the difference. Stay alert, stay calm, and take care of yourself.